I guess we don't get any intro music until the last minute, huh? Welcome to Outside Shots, presented to you, as always, by the good folks over at OG's. I'm in the middle of Las Vegas, so you can see the weird-ass curtains behind me. Eddie's back home. So, EJ, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. Waiting for the boring trade deadline.
Yeah. There's already a lot of things happening. Buddy Hield getting traded this morning to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Suns, we'll wait to see if they make any moves here in the last minutes of the trade deadline as we wait. I think it's 1 o'clock Arizona time is when the trade deadline wraps up. So, hey, listen, one thing is for certain. Miles Bridges will not be coming to the Phoenix Suns. So those of you who are a little anxious about that, good or bad, that will not be happening because he has told the Charlotte Hornets that he is not going to he does not want to get traded, and he has the trade restriction, so he has the option to stay or go, and that's that. So we can put that to bed, but there's still other rumors about Royce O'Neal out there, and we'll see if that comes to fruition, and I'm sure there's some other things that are being discussed at the last minute as well. So, desperate times call for desperate measures for some teams, and I don't know if the Suns are really in that position because they're starting to groove, EJ, and, we saw that the other night against the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, look, it's not a shock, is it? I think we all talked about once these guys can get some reps and play on a consistent basis, they'll get better. I mean, their history has proven that to us based on what they've done as individuals. Mm-hmm. And so, my whole thing was, let's get these three on the floor. Let's keep Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen healthy on the floor with them and let these other guys get reps, gain confidence, not only in themselves, but also confidence come from the big three and the coaching staff. That would elevate them even more. For example, Bol, who sat over there most of the year. I was one of them ones that was like, why aren't we playing him? And lo and behold, you can see the benefit that this young man can have if he's on the floor. So all those things are great. Still, the turnovers is always going to be an issue. And it's because, obviously, we don't have a true point guard in that sense.
Yeah.
So those guys are going to continue to make sure they're just careful with the basketball. Because if they take care of the ball, most nights they're going to win. And I think that's the key right now.
I was talking to Vic Lombardi out in Denver. He does a local broadcast in Denver, sportscast. And, we were just kind of chopping it up last night. And he said, there's only one team I'm really worried about right now, and that is the Phoenix Suns. He's like, because I don't think we've seen them at their max potential yet. And they're still working on things. And, the concern for the Suns is always, the things that they can control, really. As you pointed out, the turnovers, rebounding, things of that nature. But the other thing is just the chemistry, and that takes a little bit of time. And I think, I'll even admit that I at a certain point that I even was just like, I don't know if this is really going to work this season, because I felt like they still needed, sometimes when you look at the Nuggets, they've been together for a while. And they got that, they know where everybody's going to be at any given time. And so there's just kind of this connectiveness that they have. And the Suns are still trying to find that. But the identity between the big three was also a huge part of that. And I think you're starting to see that now, KD feeling a little bit more comfortable in the system with Book and with Beal being a little bit more aggressive and not being as passive as he had been. We saw that the other night in Washington. I think that kind of spurred him forward to really be who he really is. And that's like one of the best guards in the league. So I'm excited for the future. I am wondering what it lays ahead, especially today. I know Royce O'Neal has been talked about, but there are other players that could possibly be moved. And I think the rumor right now is that what's being floated around is Nasir Little and a couple of picks. But we'll see if he's on the roster or not today, and whoever else might be on the roster at the end of the day. I don't know if there's really a move on the fringes, and I would say Royce O'Neal is one of those guys that he's a good player, but I don't know if he really moves you into a different category altogether. And I don't know if there's really a move out there, Eddie, that will shore up any of the Suns' weaknesses that they really do have right now.
Well, I think the one area, obviously, the fallback is to find a veteran point guard. It's obvious that Goodwin and Lee aren't getting the reps. Just to have that security blanket of when teams presses, when they try to extend their defense, that you have a guy that can just get the ball up quickly, get it up, get into the offense, give the ball up to one of the big three, and then get out of the way and go spot up. I mean, that guy might be available in trade, or he might be available on the buyout market.
Yeah.
And I think it's just it's a patience game now that has to happen with this. Obviously, the Suns are still going to be aggressive all the way up until 1 p.m. to see if they can get something done. And so, since the Miles Bridges situation is gone, and I have no issue with that with Miles Bridges. Would he have been, from a player standpoint, a tremendous pickup? Yes. You see what he's doing the last 2 games.
Yeah.
He's flat out score. And he's about 6'6", but he plays like a power forward. And he can flat out shoot the ball. So, I mean, now I think people can understand why teams were trying to get him. He just left something out there on the table. I'm still a little shocked that he decided to stay in that regard on a team that's definitely reshuffling. A team that probably still has a question mark on whether they're going to extend him, sign him to a new deal. So to me, the easiest way is to get to a winning team and have a ton of success on that winning team and increase your value. It's hard to increase your value when you're on a losing team because people will just say, "Oh, he's just putting up numbers."
Yeah.
Can he do that in a winning environment? And if he goes to a team, he's not going to be a 1A. So he's going to have to be subservient on whatever team he goes to. Yeah. And so how is he going to play in that role? Because, on this team, Charlotte, right now, he's becoming a 1A, but that 1A is leading to losses every night. So that's what I would tell him, but that's fine. Suns have to move on. And again, we don't know how terribly interested they were in him. Because I guarantee you, if they would have thrown a good package at Charlotte, they would have tried to push the issue, and I don't think they did.
Yeah, I don't think they did either. And listen, they're limited with their assets in the first place. They're limited with they have 4 second-round picks and some players that are not highly regarded around the league, but they have some salary space to be able to acquire other individuals cap-wise, and you got to maximize that to the best of your abilities. And I don't know if a package that was presented to Charlotte, if there was one, would have been worth it in their eyes for a tremendous basketball player. The other stuff we've already talked about and discussed. So, but moving along, I do want to say this. 1 year ago today, at the trade deadline, we got one of the best players in NBA history in Kevin Durant.
Right.
1 year removed from the trade, what has been your total assessment of Kevin Durant at this point? In terms of just, his contributions to the Phoenix Suns, what he's meant to the Valley and what he's meant to this team and the aspirations that they have to win a championship.
Look, anytime you can go trade for one of the greatest players, and that's what he'll be when he retires in the history of this game, probably, could be at the top in regards to pure score. I always say Michael Jordan is the greatest scorer that we've had in this game. His relentlessness puts him up there. But Kevin Durant might arguably be the most efficient player other than a center, right, that we've had in the history of this game. So why don't you go after him? He's a guy that doesn't create a lot of issues around the team. He's very unselfish. So everybody tried to get him, but he wanted to come to Phoenix. And that's why the deal worked. That's the place he wanted to be. And other teams backed off because of that knowledge. And so great to have him. Yeah, unfortunate. You got to give up stuff, Mikal and Cam Johnson, without a doubt. But in order to get something, you got to give something.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You knew that. You knew that when you got married. You know, you got her, you gave up the wallet. That's about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gave up the wallet.
Yep.
You couldn't go out late no more.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
You were more conscious of how you dressed. You couldn't go 2 days without taking a shower. There's a lot of things you got to give up.
Oh yeah.
But the good things is you got your woman. You get a good plate of food every night. You got somebody that loves you. So here's the trade-off.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and listen, EJ, I am the cook in the household, not her. I take care.
I didn't know. Well, I can expand to some other things, but
I think when I think about Kevin Durant's contributions to the Phoenix Suns, I think first of all, just another great player in franchise history, obviously, but more importantly, I think this has been an experience for Booker too, because he got to play with Chris Paul and now he's playing with Kevin Durant. And I think there's something to be said about, I don't know if Kevin Durant was Book's, idol, if you will, but I do know that he revered him from a basketball perspective and just as a person. And so when that guy walks through the door, I'm sure there was a little bit of, it felt a little surreal to Book. And now you're playing with him. And not only that, but you're also coaching each other up about the things that you like and you don't like. And I think that's something that people overlook in terms of the chemistry issue, right? Like it's not just basketball in an X's and O's sense. It's feel. It's the the intangibles and the small little things that go into every game. And I've been really excited, probably for the first time since Kevin Durant got here in this last stretch of games where it feels like you can start to see things clicking and it feels like, okay, this is what everybody expected at the beginning of the season. Now we're starting to see the glimpses of that. And that's kind of scary because they haven't maximized that at all. And I think Kevin Durant would even tell you, like, he's still filling out the process because there's been games where he's only shot, 10, 11, 12 times. And I know in his history, he's usually shooting somewhere between 15 to 18 times a game. So he's not a volume shooter, but he's so efficient that he's still going to drop 30 on 10 shots. You know what I mean? And so I think he's even been picking and choosing his spots as to when to step up and when to just kind of defer to everybody else. But I think his feel for the game was something that I did not expect to see at this level. I didn't expect him to facilitate at the level that he has been facilitating from time to time. And I've been very impressed by that. I've watched Kevin Durant a lot. I didn't watch him every game when he was at the Brooklyn Nets. We have our own team to worry about. That's been a pleasant surprise to see him adjust from game to game to find out, what's really going to benefit the team.
He's just a basketball player, and as he said, I'll quote him, I'm a hooper.
Yeah. That's
it, man. Like, people, when somebody says that, people don't understand. Like, I'm a hooper. Like, and they look at it like, what does he mean by that? They all are hoopers. No, not really. Not really. No. A hooper is a guy that he just plays the game the right way. Like, he just plays it. It is nothing in the game when he plays it that reeks of selfishness, that reeks of anything being higher and more important than the W.
Yeah.
A hooper is a guy that gets up every day and the first thing he thinks about is basketball. A hooper is a guy that every day pays attention to his body. A hooper is a guy that wants to see his teammates do well and not just himself.
Yeah.
A hooper is a guy that just shares the wealth of his knowledge and leads and really encourages and all for the good of what? The W. A lot of guys aren't like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys, they're just all about themselves. They're all about what they're getting. And I hate to single out a guy, but there's a number of guys I could single out, but I'm only going to single him out because people have said this about him and he's had numerous coaches over the last couple of years. And that's Trae Young. Like, Trae Young can play the game of basketball. And it might look like he's very unselfish because he's going to pile up 8 to 9 to 10 assists a game. But he just picked up a guy in Dejounte Murray who everybody thought was probably could elevate to one of the best defenders in the game. You know he's a tremendous scorer. And for some reason, this bond has not worked.
Yeah.
So why is this bond not working? Because you look over here at Phoenix, same scenario. Kevin Durant comes over, and the bond works with he and Devin. Unfortunately for Kevin, it never got a chance to work in Brooklyn because of the injury history to Kyrie Irving. And then I think the not so subtle relationship between Harden and Kyrie at the end. So, no. I mean, this guy was the perfect trade chip. I think it's paid dividends. Unfortunately, got injured when he first showed up last year. I thought that cost the Suns. I really do, in regards to their exit from the playoffs. But it's going to pay dividends this year. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. There's no clear runaway team in the West. It's just not. You saw that last night when the Pelicans went into LA and beat the Clippers, and pretty much led the game from start to finish. Okay, led the game from start to finish pretty much. I think the Clippers caught them one time in the 20s, and they went up 1 or 2. And after that, the Pelicans just controlled the game. And so it just shows you how good the Western Conference is.
Well, speaking of the Western Conference, Eddie, the Oklahoma City Thunder just got better because they have just They're closing in on a trade for Gordon Hayward from Charlotte. So they're trying to bolster their roster to get ready for the playoffs. OKC is going to be a tough out for a lot of people, and I said that at the beginning of the season. I said, they were kind of they were the team that I kind of had my eye on. And sure enough, they're one of the better teams in the Western Conference, and they're a young team, but they play at a high level, and they'll continue to for the rest of the season, I'm sure. There's also more trade news, just in case you were wondering. This is another one. The 76ers are trading Daniel House and a 2024 second-round pick to the Knicks via the Pistons, via the Knicks to the Pistons. So anyway.
Gordon Hayward, I love his game. I argue with my co-host on NBA Today, Sirius XM, 4 to 7 Eastern Time every day. Check it out today. I argue with Justin Termini all the time about Gordon Hayward. I said he should have never left Utah. Like sometimes, you are in the perfect place for you. And just put it where it is. Utah's the perfect place for him. Like, he would own that city. Own it. But he had a desire to go play with his ex-college coach, right? And, he's been gone so long. What's his name again? Stevens. Yeah, Brad Stevens. Yeah. Who I think was a good coach, very good coach. But you can tell he actually didn't have the heart to coach long term. Mm-hmm. Because he ran from his coaching job. And I tell people that. People don't like that I say it, but hey, that's exactly what he did. And he had the good fortune to have a relationship to go to the front office. Most coaches don't have that. Yeah. If you're not coaching, you're done. And that's what Hayward wanted to do. And I said, man, stay in Utah, man. I know he was mad they didn't pay him initially what he wanted, but he would eventually have gotten it. And he'd have been in a great environment. Him on those teams with Rudy Gobert, I thought, in the way they developed over the years, with the teams that they had, I thought would have been really good. So what I'm saying is, if he's healthy, huge pickup for Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
he fits what they do tremendously well. He can rebound the ball. He can pass the ball. He's unselfish. He is a problem if he's healthy. The problem for him is he's never healthy.
Yeah. He's got that itis at some point. So I do think that Lauri Markkanen has taken that role very, very well, and you see what he's doing.
Yeah,
to kind of reinforce your point.
And the trade rumors out on him, and I'm like, are you crazy, Utah? Danny Ainge, look, don't you dare. That dude is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
We got to deal with him tonight.
Yeah.
Well, trade him. Yeah, trade him tonight.
Yeah, Lowry's been he's been phenomenal this season. One of the best players in the NBA, and that nobody's really talking enough about. To be honest with you, he's and now of course I'm biased because he went to the University of Arizona. But one thing I'm also biased about is OGs. So you can get yourself one of the lovely edibles at OGs by going to ogsbrands.com. Find the closest dispensary to you. Go get yourself a little happy balance in your life. Go get a little RSO to chill out. Maybe some indica or sativa. Lord knows, being out here in Vegas, it's been an experience. And Eddie, I think 2 or 3 days in Vegas is about good enough for me. Unfortunately for me, I'm going to be here for 6 days, and that wallet's looking a little light. So,
you've been gambling.
Well, actually, I'm Eddie. I'm up $200. So I'm
nice. What table you playing? What table? I mean, you playing what? $2
I go to these budget tables over here, man. $10 blackjack hands, man. I'm not a high roller like you. I don't go to the.
I don't play blackjack. I'm telling you.
What do you play?
Look, man, I retired from blackjack probably about 25 years ago. I sat at a table with my good friend Mike Woodson, a couple other NBA guys. We're sitting at this table. It's a $50 table. Okay? I am telling you, they're winning. I'm not. It's like 9 people at the table. 8 winning. I'm not. So I started keeping count. And I kid you, I'm not jabbing anybody on this story. I am serious. 25 straight hands. I lost. Hold it. But here's the kicker. I never got one blackjack in 25 hands. Now come on, man. I'd get an ace, turn it over, there's another ace. So I double down,
split them,
a 3 and a 2. Okay, I'm like, are you kidding me? It became a running joke. Like, people were watching us play, and I was literally totally embarrassed. After the 25th hand, I freaking got up and I said, I'll never play this game again. Seriously. And the only time I've ever played it since then is when the other half wants to play it. I'll sit down and I'll play $5, $10. I won't play it, man.
Yeah.
So good for you that you won.
Some of you guys need to come out. Maybe we'll have a special little event in the off season where maybe we do like a show live or something like that. I'll have EJ tell you guys about his Carson City gambling stuff, because that is I mean, you talk about high rollers. Hey, Carson City, there's some high rollers in those casinos for sure. So,
really?
But like I said, you won't be a high roller, but you can have a nice little high on on OGs by going to ogsbrands.com. Remember, you must be 21 or older to enjoy. You must be 21 and older as well to enjoy Four Peaks. And Four Peaks is one of our great sponsors. We love Four Peaks. They got that new crossover ale with Bad Birdie. Check it out. Go to fourpeaksbrew.com to find the closest available store to purchase Four Peaks. They got a lot of great beers. The peach ale's coming back into the season. They got the Kill Lifters. They got the staples. You know what they are. But Four Peaks is phenomenal. And Eddie, they got a barbecue spot. They got a barbecue event coming up here in about a month or two that I'm pretty excited about. So you might want to get your bib ready, because we're gonna go eat some ribs together at some point. Anyway, so Book, EJ, we talked about shoes before, and you kind of like, we were like, well, I don't get it, I don't understand the shoe game, whatever. But it's a big deal to a lot of people, and the way this whole Book shoe release has happened has been pretty awful. Because the original release was in Miami and it was only 500 shoes, and they tried to make this like this selective thing, even to the point where Devin Booker wasn't really happy with how this has all been laid out. And Nike controls everything. Obviously, Nike has a particular release idea, but this one just completely missed the mark. Well, fortunately now things are going to change, because on February 17th, you yourself can now get the book chapter 1, actually the book 1s, and it'll be the Mirage. And here's an image of the Mirage. EJ, when you look at these shoes, these are supposed to be a crossover between hooping shoes, but also a lifestyle shoe. And we've seen Devin Booker wear these on the court. Have you seen them up close? Do you have a pair? What do you think about the book release shoes?
I don't have a pair, but I'm sure if I ask him for a pair, he'd gladly give me a pair. So I will get a pair. I will have, one of the equipment manager grab me a pair of them.
You mean you mean 2 pairs, right, Eddie? 2 pairs?
Well, do you wear 15?
No, I don't.
Oh. I mean, so if I tell them give me a 15 and a 3, I see your feet.
Listen, man, size 12, man. 12 is a normal size shoe, man. Come on now. And Jacob, I don't know if you're still on your phone, but you can pull the graphic down. It's been up for like 2 damn minutes.
You gonna say, Eddie, you get some. You got. I didn't know you had a little kid. Yeah.
Come on, man. Anyway.
Yeah, I've never been into shoes, man.
Why not?
I don't know, man.
Listen, you played basketball with Gary Payton, who had one of my favorite shoes of all time. You've played with Charles Barkley in the era where like his shoe was like iconic. It was like right up there with the Jordans in that era. Like
I wish if I knew that I would have collected them, but I was just never in the shoe. I just have to be honest. Like, I mean, I would wear the same pair of shoes, to be quite honest, when I first started playing NBA. I was more comfortable in worn shoes. Like, I hated the feel of new shoes. And the shoes they make today are a little bit different. Like, they almost get them to worn status when you get them now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, they were brand new, rigid, and I just didn't like it. I had to break them in. So, honestly, I would probably change my shoes once every 15 games. These guys change their shoes every game. Like, they'll wear a new pair of shoes every game.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Winston used to do that. And I'm like, dude, and that's why I think he was Nike or Converse. That's why they let his butt go. I couldn't forget you, man. So yeah, I had to wear shoes that were worn. So on the court, my shoes didn't look that pretty. Like I had scuff marks on them and all that, and that's fine. If you're paying attention to my shoe game and not paying attention to my jumper game, that's what I want, baby.
Yeah.
So there you go.
No, I mean, listen. If you're playing ball, man, you're gonna get stepped on. Your shoes are gonna get scuffed. Like I feel like I'm the same way. I will say that when I go to play basketball, or in the past when I played basketball, it wasn't like I was trying to switch my shoes out like once a month or anything like that. Like I know I had the same pair of shoes for just about a damn year, and then I would switch them out because they got too worn out, and that was it.
Yeah.
So. I completely agree with you, but there is a lifestyle and there's a culture of basketball aficionados, shoe aficionados that really do love these shoes. And there's been mixed reviews on some of the colorways, but I do think this latest commercial that Book and Nike dropped kind of put it all in perspective. It was about family. It was about the culture of basketball, how Devin was raised, and all the little intricacies into his life, and what basketball has meant to him over the course of his life, that have been tried to be encapsulated into each shoe. And I think there's some nods to Kobe in some of the colorways that he had. Obviously he has the orange shoe, that's a Suns shoe. And I just really like the thoughtful process that Book had into trying to make this as close to a crossover shoe as possible. There's not a lot of crossover shoes, Eddie. If you don't know, I'm gonna educate you a little bit, EJ, because I know you're not into the shoe game, but like the Jordan brand by itself is a good crossover shoe because you can wear it out, you can wear it on the court, like,
Right.
and it's going to be respectable. People will look at your shoes and be like, oh, okay, he's put together. And nowadays too, and especially in the last 5 to 10 years, it's become a little bit more acceptable to wear a suit with some sneakers and go to work, and people will look at you and they won't scoff and be like, why are you wearing tennis shoes or, Air Force Ones with your, your suit? Because it's kind of a normal thing now. So I do like that. But there hasn't been very many other crossover shoes that have been able to accomplish that. The first one that I could ever remember are the Chucks. And I know you wore the Chucks, because I know you wore the Chucks because you were, you're not exactly young.
I was a guy. I mean, I was a pony guy.
Oh, pony. Oh, yeah.
I was like, matter of fact, I was making almost the same amount of money, well, a little bit less, wearing ponies than my contract.
Wow. Pony. I completely forgot about that brand.
Yeah, ponies was nice. I like that, and it almost looked like a Nike swoosh, but the swoosh finished, right? It went like this.
Yeah.
But I really loved them. But my favorite shoe, to be quite honest, that I love to play in, that I couldn't always play in, because sometimes you got to take the little money, right? Mm-hmm. So was Adidas. Yeah. And at that point in time, when I was playing the league, Adidas, they didn't have contracts with guys in the NBA. They were making all their money over in Europe. They didn't care about being in the NBA. Obviously, now they play a huge role in the NBA, but they didn't want to be in the NBA. But I would just wear the shoes. I didn't care. It's like, I want to wear these shoes. They're comfortable. I play well in them, and I shunned the little money that they were paying back then. Just to wear Adidas shoes.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Adidas made a shoe. It was a black and white shoe, and it was kind of a replica of the Larry Bird Converse shoe. And I wore those between my freshman and sophomore year, the summer of my freshman and sophomore year. Eddie, I don't think I had a better summer of basketball than that summer of basketball, because those shoes, every time I put them on, they just felt amazing. I felt like I could do whatever I needed to do on the court. They were soft, they were cushiony, but I also had a little bit of bounce. They didn't give away when I tried to cut. Like, it was my favorite shoe of all time. I couldn't even tell you what they look like anymore. I can't find them anywhere. So it is what it is. But I love that kind of thing. I love the thought that goes into these shoes, especially from these athletes that have been waiting their whole life to get their own shoe. Like, that's a dream. That's like a checkbox, a checklist that's been checked. So I love it. I love it.
But you can't, but Saul, one thing you can't do is you can't like it's certain dress shoes you can't wear. You remember Earth shoes first came out? Earth shoes, was on an angle. They were good looking shoes, but everybody's feet did not fit in those right. And so guys would be wearing them things, man, and it'd mess their feet up. And so for me, it's like, a lot of these guys trade their soul, and wear a shoe that actually does not feel good on their foot and on their feet. And so why would you do that? Because your feet is the most important asset for you as a basketball player. So why would you wear something that's uncomfortable?
Well, can I answer that real quick? Because it looks good. But also, Michael Jordan did the same thing in the last All-Star game in the Garden. He wanted to pay homage to, I guess, himself by wearing the original Jordan 1s.
Well, he can get away with it.
Yeah, but at halftime, he had to switch those bad boys out because he was bleeding in his shoes, because they're not the same as they used to be.
It's not the same, but it's also even like shoes today. Like, some guys' feet just doesn't fit well in Nikes. Like, I'll be honest, I love the way Nikes look. I think they've changed it a little bit over the years. But every time I play, I never sprained my ankle playing basketball other than in Nikes. Nikes, every time. You know why? Because I'm flat-footed a little bit. I have to wear orthotics. And the Nikes at the time had like a little lift in the heel where the foot goes down like this. And, I'm a little, slew-footed, and it just didn't mix with me. And I would turn my ankle in those. And so now what am I going to do? Wear them just for the glory of a Nike? It looks good, or they're paying me? Well, I'm going to wear a shoe that actually feels good on my foot, and I'm not worried about it when I'm playing the game.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of guys, they try to, they trade their soul to wear a shoe, like the guys that do the deals over in, in Asia and stuff like that. I'm not knocking the shoes. I've never worn them, but I know for a fact they're getting paid a ton of money to wear these shoes, and I just wonder how comfortable those shoes are for them. And so to me, it's a dangerous game you can play with them as well.
Yeah, the one of the shoes that has that slanted back in, like you were talking about, is the Air Maxes. They still have that. I have a couple pairs of the Air Maxes, and I'm just like that. Like I don't really like to wear them very much because I don't like that feeling of my heel being higher than the rest of my foot, and it's uncomfortable. So I totally get where you're coming from. All right, Eddie. Before we wrap this up, obviously Super Bowl Sunday coming up. Wanted to see who are you taking? Who do you if you had to put your money on something, who do you think you're putting your money on?
Look, I've always been an underdog, and I'm not talking about betting lines because they might not be an underdog. I haven't been paying attention to it. I'm not on them betting apps, man. I tried them things, man, just to test them out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Never basketball, but just like different things like, sports over in Europe and just see how it works. And no. Football, I've done some simple football stuff. I'm not good at that. I don't mess with it. I'm not good at it. But when I'm looking at both teams, am I a little tired of Kansas City? Yeah. Did I spend 5 years of my life in Kansas City? Yeah. So I do have sort of like an allegiance to them sort of way, but not totally.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm going with San Francisco, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm tired I'm not tired of it, but the fun part is to see the look on Taylor Swift's face when they lose.
Why is Taylor Swift always catching strays by people, man? Why do people hate her so much on these telecasts?
I don't dislike her at all.
I'm not saying you hate her, but I'm just saying,
what she's done is tremendous. She seems like a very nice young lady. She's definitely blessed. There's a lot of people in the music industry, but they tend to, she's a magnet, and so good for her. No, I think she's tremendous. I just like to root for the underdog, and I just don't want to see some love Cinderella story come to fruition. Whereas my boy Kelsey drops to a knee in the middle of the football field and says, "Baby, I just won the Super Bowl. Now let me win the World Bowl. Because if I get you, he needs to talk to me. I can hook him up and get him right. But I can see that happen. Oh, I can see that happening without a doubt. Man, the
internet would break.
You know what? The problem for Kelsey, and I met him at a party, believe it or not. The crazy story, seriously, is my buddy used to give football Super Bowl parties all the time at his house. And it's just all our friends and stuff. And you've met some of them. And so we would always get together and, we traded party houses over the years. My house used to be the party house until I moved to a smaller house. But he had a big house, giant screen television. I mean, just nice movie room. You can put 50 people in there. I mean, just watching the game, all the food you can eat, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we would do is we get there early before the game, and I'm DJing. So you didn't know that. See, I'm the invisible DJ.
Mm-hmm.
All my music's right here. And no one knows that I'm jamming. So I'll bring 2 Bluetooth giant speakers and boom, I'm jamming. And I'm just sitting over there. I'm on the dance floor and they don't know who's changing the music, who's DJing. And they didn't know it for the first couple of times I did it. And trust me, I jam. Trust me, I jam. I got about 2 million songs on this thing. I jam. And so next thing I know, I look over to my left, and it's this tall dude, like, what I'm saying, white guy, black guy, he's a little mix, right? So, he mixed in with the crowd. And come on, man, look, we're at a party, man. It's like 98% African-American in there, okay? But he comes into the house, and he in the middle of the floor, and he about 6'8", 6'9". I'm like, okay, hey, hello. And then I look again, I'm like, that's freaking Kelsey. And it blew me away. It blew everybody away once I told everybody, who it was. And he came because he was dating a girl, and she knew my buddy, and she brought him to the party. But he fit right in. I mean, like, he knew everybody, fit right in, had a great time, right?
Yeah.
So ever since then, I was a fan. I've been a fan of his. So it's hard for me to root against him. But, man, I just like to see, I like to see them go ahead and just get their head beat in.
Yeah.
Everybody telling me the Bears made a mistake on not drafting the quarterback that they have. What's his name?
Patrick Mahomes. Listen, the Cardinals were in the same boat, so they could have traded up to get him. They didn't. They held back, and then the rest is history. But listen, I'm actually going. I'm going for the Chiefs because I can't stand the 49ers. I don't like the 49ers. And listen, the Brock Purdy story is cool. Good for him. Local kid, Perry High School, right down the street from my house. Like I get it. I get why people really like him. That's fine. It's a cute story. But I can't have Patrick Mahomes losing to Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl. I just can't have that in my life.
Why?
Because, man, Patrick Mahomes needs to dominate quarterbacks like that, man.
That's win.
He's going to.
Okay, well, go win then. That's the beauty of me watching it. It's like, I know that this man is unreal. I know Patrick Mahomes is unreal. I know that. So I used to root against Tom Brady. Now, when he won, I'm like, there you go. Man's unreal, right? But I would root. And it's because I've always been the underdog. Like, I've never been on a team that was like, they're supposed to win the title.
Yeah.
And people don't understand. That's all 95% of the guys that play in sports, they're never on that team where it's like, we're supposed to win. We walk into a building, we are that team, right? Yeah. Now, if these guys were younger, Akeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and Clyde Drexler, right? If we were all in our prime and we were all on the same team, then I would have had that feeling. But at the end of my career, we were all on the same team, but they all was telling us we're old. So it was a little bit different, right? So that's why I'm rooting for San Francisco a little bit. I'm just tired of this whole dynamic of Kansas City. Plus, I got some coworkers that are Chiefs fans, so I want to see the sad look on their face.
No, I feel you. All right. Well, hey, sad look on everybody else's faces in the chat because we're about to wrap this up. So, that's another episode of Outside Shots.
It's only because, hey, people, let me let you all, I'm not going to let him. The only reason he wrapped up now,
I can't even hear him. The music is playing, so I can't even hear you, EJ.
I hear you. Tired. He's tired. He wants to go to bed. He was up to 3-4 this morning.
I got to go to work right now, man. I got to go to Radio Row right now. I got to shower, change, and go to Radio Row. I got up for you.
Tell us why
I got up so I didn't have to cancel on you.
You're doing an abbreviated show today because of you.
Well, I mean, 40 minutes is a pretty good show, I think. So
I got to go to storage right now and dig out stuff.
All right, Freddie Johnson, you can follow him at JumpShot8 on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman on Twitter and Instagram as well. And follow the show at PHNX_Suns. Follow the PHNX Suns show today because they're going to have a trade deadline show talking about any of the moves that the Suns may or may not have made and what the update will be. And then obviously you can follow their pregame and postgame show tonight. We appreciate y'all. Love. See y'all.
We all silly like the mayor.